Hello students of class 8th. Today's presentation is on chapter 4th, materials, metals and non-metals. So this is my first video on the 4th chapter of science. So let's start with the introduction. You must be familiar with a number of materials like iron, aluminium, copper, etc. So these are some materials. So out of these, which are metals and which are non-metals, right? So metals can be distinguished from metals and non-metals on the basis of their physical properties and their chemical properties. So let's start with the physical properties of metals. Students, have you ever seen blacksmith beating an iron piece or an article made up of iron like a spade, a shovel or an axe? Now, do you find a change in the shape of these articles on beating? Yes, of course, on beating, the blacksmith may shape the article into different utensils or different kind of things that are usable. So, would you expect a similar change if we try to beat a piece of coal? Of course not. It will break down into pieces. So, if you beat an iron nail, the shape of the iron nail, or if you beat the aluminium wire, so both of their shape will change on beating. Okay, so if they were beaten harder, these could be changed into sheets. You might be familiar with silver foil used for decorating sweets. You must also be familiar with aluminum foil used for wrapping food. So the property of metals by which they can be beaten into thin sheets is called malleability. Okay, so this is a characteristic property of metals. Materials like coal and pencil lead do not show this property. Now, can you hold a hot metallic pan which is without a plastic or a wooden handle and not get hurt? Perhaps not, because if you try to do so, you will get hurt. Okay. So, on the basis of these experiences, you can say that wood and plastic are poor conductors of heat, while metals are good conductors of heat. Now, you must have seen an electrician using a screwdriver. What kind of handle does it have? It has a plastic handle, right? So because metals are also good conductors of electricity and plastics are not, so it saves the electrician from a shock. Now you observe that iron rod, nail and copper wire are good conductors, while rolled sulfur pieces and coal pieces, they are poor conductors of electricity. Now, the property of metal by which it can be drawn into wires is called ductility. Where do you find the use of aluminum and copper wires? You must have seen them in your electric wires. So, have you ever noticed the difference in sound on dropping an iron sheet or plate, a metal coin, and a piece of coal on the floor? So you can try it out. What you will observe that the metals produce a ringing sound when struck hard. Okay, suppose you have two boxes similar in appearance, one made of wood and the other made of metal. Can you tell which box is made of metal by striking both the boxes? Since metals produce ringing sounds, they are said to be sonorous. So the materials other than metals are not sonorous. So after all this, we can say that some materials are hard, lustrous, that is they have shine, malleable, that is they can be drawn into sheets, ductile, that is they can be drawn into wires, they are sonorous, that is they produce sound, and they are good conductors of heat and electricity. So the materials which generally possess these properties are called metals. Okay, so I hope all these properties of metals are clear to you. I have shown certain pictures also related to the properties of physical properties of metals on the screen. So now what we can say about what are the examples of metals, what are the materials that are metals. So if I want to give the example, you can see on the screen also. The examples are iron, then you have copper, then you have aluminium, you have calcium, you have magnesium, also the gold, the silver. All these are metal, they are lustrous, they make sound. So all these are the examples of metals. Okay, now what are the physical properties of non-metals? So there are some materials that are very soft and dull in appearance. They break down into a powdery mass on tapping with a hammer. They are not sonorous and they are poor conductors of heat and electricity. So these materials are called non-metals. That is, they are too soft, they are not lustrous, they don't have any shine, they are dull on appearance in appearance, and if you just tap it with a hammer, it will break down into a powdery mass. Like if you have a coal and you tap it with a hammer, it will break down into small pieces. Also, if you just throw a coal on the floor from a certain height, it will not make any sound. So we can say that it is non-sonorous because it does not have a ringing sound. Although in metals we have seen that it has a ringing sound, but non-metals are non-sonorous. Also, they are poor conductors of heat. For example, wood. In a pan, you must have seen in your kitchen that a pan is having a handle of a plastic or wood. So why do they have such handles? Because they are the wood and the plastic, they are the poor conductors of heat. Similarly, electricians use plastic gloves, or they have wooden sticks just to safeguard them from a severe shock. Now, what are the examples of non-metals? So the examples of non-metals we can give over here is sulfur. Okay, then we have carbon, which is coal. Also, you can see on your screen there is phosphorus, that is a sort of pinkish in color. Then you have gases like oxygen, like you have hydrogen. All these are non-metals. So students, hope you have understood the physical properties of metals and non-metals. Go through them, revise them, and if you find any doubt or any query, please write us on the WhatsApp number of the school. Thank you so much.